So I have a new movie hitting select theaters this December. Cue the trailer.
Trying to be an ass.
No. And we're not either.
I'm loaded.
So are we.
When he got on a plane in Portland, Oregon last night, he was just another passenger who gave his name as D.A. Cooper. But today, after hijacking a Northwest Airlines jet, description on one-wire service, master criminal.
In the early 70s, a hijacker calling himself D.B. Cooper jumped from an airliner in flight, carrying $200,000 in ransom cash, and disappeared in the woods of the Pacific Northwest. His fate remained unknown, his true identity a mystery, that is, perhaps until now.
And he goes, I got something else to run by you.
I says, I'm D.B. Cooper. I've been wanted for a long time.
Well, Rodney had this lone wolf kind of mystery about him, like he had a secret.
I decided to come out now and tell the truth about everything so the people that have a right to know who I am.
This is real, and we might find this money.
You got $193,000 some dollars buried on the beach. So we're going treasure hunting and just dig it up.
Some guy hijacked a plane in Portland last night and then jumped from it.
This guy got away with it.
And the more I looked into it, the more I thought, well, he's either the most well-versed D.B. Cooper fanatic that I've ever met or even heard of, or he's D.B. Cooper.
Oh my God, you're still alive.
Can I get you anything?
I'll take a bourbon on the rocks, and if you could keep those coming until the plane lands or I jump out of it, that'd be great.
So this is a new film that I worked on and was a part of, and today I kind of want to talk about how this project came to be, my role on the project, as well as kind of break down a frame for you guys, kind of one of my favorite frames. There's a lot of really cool frames within this film, but one in particular that people seem to love when I was kind of posting about, you know, certain things with frames and behind the scenes with this film on Instagram. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first and foremost, this is a movie that was directed and kind of written and produced by TJ Regan. And how I came to even be a part of this project, he's someone who's followed me on Instagram and social media for a long time. And he said when the right project kind of came onto, his plate, that he would finally approach me. And so he actually cold DM'd me on Instagram, said, hey, I have this project I want you to be a part of. I know you probably get these messages all day long, but I wouldn't message you if this wasn't serious. Please take 5 minutes out of your day to call me. And I called him, and it sounded like a very fun and cool project. And the kind of unique twist and different thing about this project, because it was so self-funded and put together, that there was no rate. And so we kind of worked out a deal where, hey, if the film sells on the back end, whatever it is, that we would get our day rates back on the back end plus interest for taking payment on the back end. This is something I had never done before, never did, but I looked at it as a very unique opportunity. He had sent me the deck and the script for the film and everything we'd be shooting. And I've wanted for so long to shoot in the Pacific Northwest. And I thought, what a better time to bring my core team on. I myself was the DP, brought on my business partner, Tom, who did Steadicam, and then my buddy, Tim, who actually DPs a lot for me, but he ran First AC. And then we had a behind the scenes guy documenting everything for some courses and things we were putting together. So I agreed to become, a part of this project. It was a couple week long, I think 2 week long project for us. We shot up in the Pacific Northwest, a couple days in LA, and I was the cinematographer for all of the recreation scenes that you see in the movie. So the movie itself is a kind of documentary, narrative, scripted film, kind of all woven together. It's a documentary mixed with basically narrative recreation scenes of what the story of DB Cooper is and what this guy in these interviews is talking about. And so our job and duty was to make the most cinematic narrative recreation scenes come to life and kind of be the through line of this film and what's happening in the documentary and what story is being told in the documentary. So that was a lot of fun. We shot on the Red Helium and Atlas Anamorphics, and Prism Lens Effects Dream Effects filter. That was kind of like our combo for everything in this film. And here you can even see this shot right here. This is the, I believe, 35 mil anamorphic Orion Atlas. And then, Dream Effects 4x5, red helium 8K. And this was just like a simple steady cam shot. But yeah, you can see here, I want to talk about this kind of scene. These are two different moments from two different parts of the movie. Same room, same pretty much lighting setup. But I just kind of wanted to break these down today in a minute and talk to you guys about how we lit it, graded it, etc. So moving on from there, after said yes to the project, came on board. All expenses and everything were covered for us. I wanted to make sure that we coming onto this project to make this happen for the director and for the team were not coming out of our own pockets. So everything was taken care of for us. All we had to do is go make beautiful images, and that's what we did. This is something that we believed in the project, but we wanted to challenge and test ourselves as well and go shoot some really cool stuff and just have fun. And I've talked about this recently on Instagram. I just want to be a part of projects where there's just passion and a deeper purpose and meaning behind it. I'm at a point in my life where I could care less about the rates and what I'm getting paid to do a job. I recently just turned down an Amazon Prime documentary series that shot over the course of 2 months because it was following bull riders, and I didn't want to go travel the country and shoot bull riders. And that was an Amazon Prime documentary series that paid pretty well, and I just didn't really have any interest in that. I want to work on projects that I'm passionate about and that push forward myself and where I want to go in my career as a filmmaker, and this was kind of one of those steps. So as I mentioned, I was the director of photography on this project. It was also a very collaborative effort. I'm always, with the people I bring on board, taking in suggestions and opinions and different things like that. But kind of my role, my significant role in this was the DP of all the cinematic scenes that you will see in this film. And it is hitting streaming later this, I believe, winter as well. So when that's out, I'll probably do another video telling you guys where you can go watch the film. And hopefully you guys enjoy it and enjoy my part in bringing this movie to life. So the main through line kind of through the whole film cinematically that I really wanted to keep were cooler tones. The Pacific Northwest is known for, low con, haze, fog, cooler. You're not, when you think of the Pacific Northwest, you're not thinking of the Arizona desert Western films where it's bright, warm, sunny feeling. And so basically the entire film, for the most part, not every scene, was shot at 4,500 Kelvin, which is a perfect example in this scene. Something we did interior wise a lot was split the difference between color temperatures. So, typically a tungsten bulb right here, would be 3,200 and daylight is 5,600, right? So if you kind of split it right there in the middle, it gives you a good balance between those two and kind of creates, if you're using those style of lights, using a big strong sunlight motivation or natural light, and then using a tungsten bulb or light, if you split the difference right there, it kind of gives it a very neutral, cool look without being too warm and too cold. And so that's something we did a lot of. And even when we shot outside, we would kind of take the color temp down a bit. So instead of 5,600, it might be, again, 4,500 or 5,000 or sometimes even cooler, just to create those really cool tones and make it feel cold, if that makes sense. But this style of shooting was very predominant through the whole film, where big daylight motivation, tungsten accents and practicals in the background and different things, and shooting heavy shadow side. Not a lot of fill lights. Wanted everything to feel very moody and dramatic, because that's what these scenes were. They were, dramatic recreations of this pretty intense story. I don't know if you guys know the story of D.B. Cooper, but it's pretty wild. One of the greatest American unsolved mysteries of all time. So that was my thought going into it, was just wanted it to be cool, dark, moody, tonal, textured. And so that's why you see also a lot of haze in the air here, because I just wanted it to feel, that's just how I wanted it to feel, So in terms of specific lights we're using here through these two scenes, the big thing that we're doing here is you can actually see it here, right here. It's very hard to tell, but there is a stand, and this is on the second floor of a building, and we shot a aperture 600D way up in the air, and the light's actually somewhere up in here pushing through here. There was good ambient daylight coming through here, but not enough to create this edge you see here on his shoulders and his back. So that right there is certainly the aperture 600D pushing daylight from that window working there. Otherwise we wouldn't have this detail and backlight here at all. And you can kind of see the Dream Effects working its glow magic around the highlights and the edges, just softening everything up. And then again, the only other light playing in here is this aperture bulb set to 3200 Kelvin, just warming up, keeping that practical warm to get that nice little balance there. And we could have pushed in a light from overhead with a wall spreader or a menace arm to kind of like push the tungsten light further on his face here and wrap it. We just didn't do it here. We kept it simple. I think in this moment, we push in wide from the door. So we would have really had to rig something up special and unique up here to give him that little bit of special on his face. We didn't really have time, really didn't have the resources, because it wasn't necessarily that kind of budget of a film. It was very scrappy. It had a very big budget feel while still being so scrappy. It's hard. Like there was moments where it felt really big and we had all these toys, and then there's moments where we didn't. And this also felt like a scene that could also lend itself to just be super shadow side, super moody. And so that's just kind of how we went with this scene here. But yeah, I mean, it's as simple as that. We have daylight, aperture 600D pushing in through the window, I believe a full 100% tungsten aperture bulb here, haze in the atmosphere, and then Tom's Steadicam push around to the front. And that's really it. Same thing here, the exact same thing here, except this time we closed the blinds. Just to give it a little bit different of a feel and softer for when he comes down to the bed. The light is not so harsh on his face. It just almost kind of acted as a diffuser, if you will. And then you can tell we actually brightened the bulb and the practical on this shot versus this shot. We dimmed it down so it wasn't, taking the focus away from him as we kind of wrap to his face here. So you can see that it's just the subtle differences in the scenes, but same exact lighting setup, two different scenes. So this was a very big risk for me. You know what I mean? Essentially, I'm for 2 weeks saying no to any job opportunities to go up and shoot a movie of which I'm not getting paid. Could potentially never get paid. If the film never sold or sells, then I would never get paid. And I just looked at it as a fun opportunity to challenge myself, to work on my skills, have fun with some friends, go do something new, different, and cool, and also just make something dope that hopefully you can't get anything worthwhile on the back end without taking a risk up front. And this is kind of one of those opportunities where I felt like the risk could be worth the reward. Hopefully you enjoyed this breakdown. If you want to see other kind of breakdowns or me talking about how I got onto certain projects and how I lit and shot certain projects, please let me know. I want to just continue to bring valuable information to you guys as much as I possibly can. So appreciate it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.